are watching or listening to Jade Emerald Green. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow so that you are staying connected with the daily content arrivals that are made just for you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, and you are watching or listening to the Daily Collective Tarot and Oracle reading on Jade Emerald Green. It's a late one today. I was trying to, I had some takes I was trying to get through this morning, and just everything from the noise to having to run errands was happening. And so I even tried recording outside and nothing was working, so I just had to wait to get back here when I had a moment. So and I am a little bit tired, so I want to get through this reading as thoroughly but as quickly as possible for you today. Really quick, tomorrow we have Mercury in Leo and the new moon in Cancer. Now, the thing about Mercury in Leo is that we have this planetary position for the entire summer, practically, from tomorrow, June 26th, until September 2nd. This is going to be a time for bold communication. And also, mid-July, we will have Mercury retrograde in Leo, which is the reason for the extension here. So, yeah, so let's prepare ourselves for that this evening. And then, of course, the new moon in Cancer. Alrighty, so for those, if this is your first time here, we do a combination of tarot and oracle to, paint the picture as accurately as we can here. The basic rundown of our structure for the tarot is situation, action, outcome, but we extend it a little bit, and there's a little bit of style to how we ask these questions here. So our first question is always going to be, what the fuck are we doing here? Followed by our recommended action card. So what the fuck are we supposed to do about it, right? Third action is, or third card for the action we should avoid is called where's the fuckery. Moving on to our outcome cards here. The likely outcome based off of the recommended action is what happens when we do what the fuck we're supposed to do. And for the action, or the likely outcome based off of the action that we should avoid, the question is what the fuck fuckery. And as always, you need to have some context, so we have a clarifier. And then we move into the oracles. They tend to have their own format based off of the deck and are generally straightforward here based off of our tarot reading. So, okay. What we have today, I think ultimately is a warning against staying stuck in the past. And taking chances. So, what do I mean by that? What the fuck are we doing here? Wheel of Fortune. Okay. So, the only thing that stays the same in life is change. It's better when we embrace it than resist change. Unless we're trying to keep something that's gonna, like entitlement programs, for example. We need to keep entitlement programs. We shouldn't be changing entitlement programs so that less people can have access to them and, things of that nature. So there are some things that we want to maintain, but even those programs deserve improvement as opposed to being gutted. If you get what I'm saying, they should be more accessible, things like that. So still, change is the only constant that we find in this world. And when it comes to the types of changes that we go through, some of those changes we go through are voluntary. Some of those changes that we go through are like based off of simply like us setting our goals, us setting, up determinations for ourselves. Other times, the changes happen to us based off of things outside of our control. And when those things happen, it becomes essentially like I want to say obstacle course and how we navigate through those. I think of often the serenity prayer, and if you don't know serenity prayer, then ask your local 12-stepper. So this is a really great card to just acknowledge as a situation. It's not really like super positive, super negative. Change is change. You get what I'm saying? And it can be any way. So I guess figuring out, what are the things in your life that you can change, that you want to have change. You get what I'm saying? And then what are the things in your life that you cannot change, or things that are changing that are outside of your control that you have to accept, so that's essentially where we're at. Then moving forward, we have in our recommended action, aka what the fuck are we supposed to do about it. The best card you could have in this position is the Magician here. We need to find our magic from within, not from somebody else, from within. You have all the elements. You have everything it takes. And furthermore, if you notice the imagery in this specific deck, the Magician has the infinity symbol behind it. On the regular deck, it's like above its head, like a halo. But I think here, either way, we have the understanding of our life in the eternal sense, right? This specific timeline may be limited, but our souls are eternal. And so, getting in touch with, where you're at, getting in touch with what your eternal life purpose is. You get what I'm saying? So, really use your magic. Use your magic. Believe in your magic. What magic looks like for you may look different from somebody else. So, I think that's the best way to be able to embrace change, especially when it comes to change of things that are outside of your control. And it's better to be your biggest support in that regard. You get what I'm saying? Than to try to siphon off somebody else's magic. Don't be a biter. Don't be a, don't be an impersonator. You have your own personality that is worth gold. So, utilize it. Moving on to our Where's the Fuckery card. And it's in the Six of Cups. Now, the Six of Cups on the surface looks very harmless, right? As it is a photo of two young folks exchanging flowers in front of the house, right? So the Six of Cards is the card of Six of Cups is the card of nostalgia. It's the card of memories, particularly made through childhood, often skewed toward, more so good memories than bad. But I guess here's where the kicker is in this situation is when we are too steadfast in our sense of nostalgia, that can obscure us from being able to see the things that need to change, or to see how people have changed over time. Nothing really remains the same, so we constantly need to ask ourselves, it's like the concept of yesterday's price not being today's price. Is yesterday's person today's person? You get what I'm saying? So, yeah, Six of Cups, generally pretty okay card. It's good to be reminded of things, but not necessarily. You don't necessarily have to apply what worked in the past for it to work today. this reality, especially as we go towards this near future for this summer, given our placements. I am working on the release of the July 2025 forecast, so be on the lookout for that. But as we move closer into, what this summer is really all about, yeah, we're gonna need some new solutions. Everything that was working before is not. We need more. We need more than that. That's all I'll say. So as we move into the likely outcomes here, so what happens when we do what the fuck we're supposed to do? We get a new point of view. Ace of Swords in this particular iteration is just showing a hand holding a sword in the clouds, right? In the traditional RWS tarot, the Ace of Swords shows it's held more upright, and then it has the palm leaf and the olive branch, right, on each side. I believe we went through this on a previous day, but I guess the significance of that is that we can shift our perspective. So if we were like, on a level of conflict, for example, then we can choose peace over the conflict. Or, if we're, head first in, like, let's, I'm not afraid of conflict, or this conflict is necessary in order to overcome, in order to learn, in order to do this, that, the other, then, you choose the palm leaf and you choose victory. If I'm going to go through this, I'm going to win. I'm going to win somehow. I'm going to win over myself, not necessarily winning over somebody else, although sometimes that can be a nature of conflict. It's like, how do we shift our perspective on ourselves, even, like, on our capabilities? When you find that magic, then, for example, you tend to know that you're more capable than ever. So I think that's really cool, it kind of starts with what you put your mind to anyway before anything else. So, what the fuckery? That Six of Cups is only going to get us to having an obscured sense of our inner knowing. The High Priestess, I really can't talk today. Oh my gosh. The High Priestess is one who is exemplary of hidden knowledge and wisdom within the divine feminine. However, in this part, this is where like I said, our inner knowing gets obscured because of our sense of nostalgia. We don't, have as keen of a sense of intuition because it's in our nature to care. And then if we're not seeing things for what they really are, then that can lead us to some vulnerabilities, and then we have to question about the necessity of those vulnerabilities ultimately. So we don't want to, embody the High Priestess in that way. We do love the High Priestess, and we do want to embody the great qualities of the High Priestess, but we do need to be weary of, of making sure we have all of our faculties about us. So, contextually, this is all about great change. We're either gone through it, or about to go through it. The Tower, of course, never to be played with, is all about great change through struggle. You are not going to have the change that you need in your life without struggle. You're not going to be able to appreciate the victories in life without the conflict. So it's important that the Tower, although it's often like a scary card, you have to understand that right after the Tower comes the Star. The meeting of the spiritual and material worlds. So, embrace the Tower being there. Embrace great change through struggle. And then know that, there always may be opportunity. There always may be a chance of change. There always may be a choice that you are able to make things better for yourself. Moving on to our oracle reads for today. Starting with our prism, we have rejection and abundance. I think rejection is coming up, you know, a bunch here. I don't recall if abundance has come up recently, at least in the daily collective read. It may have. But once again, we're dealing with this energy. I think it's just all about discernment. One cannot say yes to everything, you know? And no is the full sentence. So, like, all of these things that, you know, situations that come up that deal with rejection, the career, the, you know, financial aspect, the social aspect, you know, relationship aspect, you know, when we think about on the macro level, you know, the geopolitical aspect, the U.S. constantly vetoing, you know, resolutions about, you know, Palestinian sovereignty and security. So, you know, what is rejection really? Rejection, feel in this sense, is, yeah, the ability to kind of like, you know, not reject, you know, everything that you've known about your, you know, memories, but to not necessarily always take your past as an inference for, as a, like a way to inform yourself about your future. You get what I'm saying? Like, because that's how cycles repeat. Don't let your past inform your future, basically. Because who you are, even like from 1 year ago, 1 month ago, 1 day ago. And yeah, there's a phrase like, every day I wake up a new person. But like, you know, even from larger periods of time, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like, who you are changes moment to moment based off of what you receive as an experience in your life. So based off of that, you know, you become more discerning as to like what your needs are. And that's very important. That allows the way to abundance, actually. Once you are more discerning in the things that you are allowing in your life and are not allowing in your life, you make room for the things that are for you. That's where, you know, you start to feel rich in your life spiritually, is knowing that I am dedicating all my time to the things I want to dedicate to, or even if it's something I have to dedicate to, like, you know, 9 to 5 or something like that, but it is contributing to, you know, my larger goals and dreams. You know, you're making room for that. You can't say yes to everything when your friends want to go out, all that stuff. Like, you know, nothing is inherently wrong with rejection. It's all about how it's utilized. Now, rejection can be harmful when it is weaponized. When, you know, someone is like trying to break up with you, but not necessarily just because, okay, this is not making them happy, but they're trying to use the breakup as a way to hurt you. I don't know. It's a lot of low vibrational energy out there that I've been feeling lately and been having to protect from, especially as I like doing readings. And you know, this is something for the collective that we are having to go through. Like, what are the things that we're rejecting in this life? What are the things that we're done with? What are the dynamics that are not healthy for us? And then furthermore, for abundance, like, it's not just, you know, about the material aspect of abundance. Are you abundant in spirit? Are you abundant emotionally? Are you fulfilled emotionally? Are you, you know, abundant mentally? Like, you know, you have to have, in order to get the life that you want externally, your internal self has to, you know, basically be the mirror for that life, you know? So moving on, I laughed when I saw Bruce Lee came back. He really is not playing around, and I wanted to take a moment to pull from the guidebook and just kind of read more about what this message is, because it is a very straightforward message. You know, stay focused, right? And his demeanor is very serious. As we clocked yesterday, he is not playing any games. So let me really quick pull that and we can read that together. Alrighty, Bruce Lee. So, when you select this card in a reading, it is calling for you to concentrate and focus on a healthy mind and body. By marrying the two, you will find the way to have the ultimate expression on how you want to portray yourself in the world today. By dedicating yourself to this goal, you will develop your own personal power and strength of spirit to manifest what you desire and how you want to see yourself with excellent results. Instead of thinking about it, you now need to take action by taking responsibility to get your mind and body healthy together. So, yes, I think this is just in pairing with the Wheel of Fortune. Like, Bruce Lee is just here to ensure that we maintain our focus. And that's what I love about cards that do come up consistently, because it is indicative of the patterns in which we are enduring as a collective. So I don't necessarily expect to get like a new card every day, a new celebrity spirit oracle every day, especially since there's only 36 of those cards. But yeah, I do respect the energy of that Bruce Lee is bringing up to this collective read. Moving on back to our juicier portion of the oracle, we have our Wested Tea and our Broken Mirrors. And we're revisiting this aspect again today. So with our Wested Tea, we're dealing with the scales of justice, court, judges, immigration, lawyers, legal issues, right? So very about face, pretty straightforward about what this could mean. But this also, once again, doesn't necessarily have to mean like a physical court or the court of law. Sometimes we're dealing with the court of public opinion, and then we are trying to figure out how to best self-advocate, or to, engage with our friend group to, if we need assistance with, advocacy. If we're fighting against things like gossip, or, things that are like untruths, or any sort of, conflict feelings with that. This could be, very significant, and making sure you have yourself together. Are you dotting your I's and crossing your T's again? You get what I'm saying? Like, this is not a one-off. It is something that is something that we may deal with on one level or another constantly, especially as we grow older into this life here. You gotta have to deal with the scales of justice. Not necessarily in the court of law sense, because we all know that just because, not every law that is created specifically by man, specifically, for our social life is necessarily a just law. You get what I'm saying? That's why, it is our right as Americans, if there is a law that's on the books that's not just, we have the right to civil disobedience. So, yeah, that card has returned, and it's something to just, be mindful of, like, yourself. It could be also like, yeah, you fighting within yourself. Are you giving yourself justice to your life's purpose? You get what I'm saying? Or are you cheating yourself by constantly capitulating, giving yourself away, all these things? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely an important matter. But intimacy is also in the books. Passion, coming into union, chemistry, and missing you. Like, we're all deserving of love. You get what I'm saying? For those who are in relationships, then it's, important to evaluate, okay, what is your current level of intimacy right now? Definitely, if there's challenges there, try to figure out what it is about those challenges. Is it you? Is it them? Is it a combination of both? And try to resolve them as much as possible. I think a lot of times, because we, sometimes a partner is either good for us or not, but also because of the rat race, because of the need to earn, a lot of times there's intimacy that's not happening. So how do you better engage so that you can have more of this, because you are deserving of it? And it's not necessarily like always physical intimacy. This also deals with this also deals with like the emotional intimacy that people build with each other, and it doesn't necessarily have to be even romantic. It can be platonic, but it can be something that is a bit of a special moment, because not everyone thinks like you or acts like you. If you find someone who is like of a similar mindset of you, or like a good friend, that you can consider, then that's always great. So, everyone is deserving of having connection. You get what I'm saying? Everyone is deserving of that. Moving on to our Dark Confessions Oracle. Interesting read today. I smile on the outside, but I am dying on the inside. Hope this is none of y'all. If you feel like that, then it's very imperative that we get to the bottom of what is making you feel like you are not worth the things that you want in life. Sometimes we accumulate stress, we accumulate drama, we accumulate trauma. And if our faith in ourselves and our faith in our abilities is not where it needs to be, let alone our faith in our higher power, then we really suffer. And as someone who has dealt with like suicidal tendencies in the past, it is very important that we proactively fight to remove any sort of like levels of depression or levels of extreme anxiety or things like that, because those things can kill. I guess I take this card so seriously because of the suicide rate, specifically in this country, with the rising suicide rate on Black women, as well as Black men. Like, Black people have increased suicide rates because of the world that we're living in today. And as someone who has definitely firsthand felt that, the need to have to smile when I didn't want to because I felt so dead inside. Nobody's worth that pain, Like, people are deserving of being able to find their true happiness and to feel it and to know that it can be fulfilled. Or if this is someone around you that, is like, when in matters that aren't so deep, you get what I'm saying? Like, someone could just be in a really big, like, mode of desire, and when they see you, they have to smile, but, like, it's so many different situations, that this juxtaposition is taking place. So I really just want to say, if someone's literally feeling like that on the inside, like, really, make sure you have a community, a system of support to, like, kind of combat that. Because, and I can see in relation to, like, how the rest of the cards lay, I feel like this is important because it becomes a distraction, right? When we feel like we have to smile, when we want to die, everything kind of just becomes a distraction. We have to figure out, like, what is going to take our mind off of that. And really, we have to stay focused on the mission, period. Like, we have to take a chance so that if we're ever feeling like we're dying on the inside, we know that there's a recourse. The biggest recourse is choosing ourselves and finding our magic within. When we're able to do that, then we can move away from a point of view that is not so hot to everything that we need to make shit happen. Okay? Almost done here. We have, for our angelic connections, Coins or small shiny objects may have been put in your path to draw your attention to important signs from angels. Look around. So on this deck, I had some bloodstone, but over the weekend I switched this deck's crystal to the pyrite, aka fool's gold. The reason why I did that is the color scheme of it kind of just really went, you know. But also, I remember having a lot of fool's gold as a kid. Like, we went to some mine up in middle Wisconsin or some cave area and like ended up having a bunch. And pirate represents, you know, good luck, prosperity, amongst other things. And it is, for me, this is like one of the most beautiful pieces that, you know, I feel like I've acquired over this more recent period of time. But spiritually, it just reminds me of like greatness. You know, like, you don't necessarily need all of, like, you know, like, we'll call this fool's gold, you know, real gold. You know, like, you know, people, if you think of like people who don a lot of jewelry that's like really expensive, right? And that's like supposed to be the symbol of wealth or success and things like that. But I think, yeah, this reminds me, it just grounds me. I know it's not necessarily outright like a grounding stone, but it does ground me. And to remind myself of my greatness and that I'm connected. And it really is been a sight for those who I give readings to. You know, it's that shiny attraction thing, so that we can, you know, get the message through and figure out, okay, what is it that we need to see. So yeah, this, I feel like it's a shiny object from the angels, but more of those things happen, and it may not necessarily have to be physically shiny, right? It could just be something that is like, you get excited about, that becomes so much in sync with what you're doing, where you're going in life, that it ultimately does become signs from our angels. So, as far as the timing oracle, the question I asked was, when will we be able to see the result of transforming rejection into abundance? And so what I got from that, taking a little bit of time. Next year looks promising, next spring, more specifically. So this is an investment. That's why Bruce Lee is telling us to stay focused. I think it's really important to set goals, set vision boards, set, you know, the determinations that you want from now until next year, since it is halfway through the year, over halfway through the year now. What do you want out of the rest of this year? What do you want going into 2026? Know it now so that you don't have to rush in December in the middle of gift shopping and shit. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's very doable. Definitely check on your goals every day and see, you know, are you breaking your goals down into smaller steps so that they're more achievable? And more importantly here, like, let the past go. It's there good for a form of reference, but you gotta let the past go. Sometimes holding on to too many things from the past kind of weighs us down and prevents us from seeing what's happening in our present. Alrighty, y'all. Thank y'all for listening. I do appreciate your time. I want to show you one thing that I have. I also was not aware that turquoise came from Africa as well. And I'm in love. Oh my gosh. Do you see this? Wait, I'm trying to make it. Focus. Better. Maybe this is better. Okay, cool. So, yes. Do you see this darker green shade for turquoise. It's just really beautiful, and I feel really good with it, even though I'm a little bit tired. But thank you again for listening to or watching the Daily Collective Tarot Oracle reading on Jade Emerald Green. Check back tomorrow, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.